this is an absolute honor to have Madhu with us. And as he will address us, we will realize the nuggets of his investment experience and learnings and how valuable they are. Generally, we say thank you at the end, but I begin by saying thank you that you took out this time on a weekend when the markets are so turbulent and you had to travel from one end of Bombay right to the other end. Thank you so much. And before we start our chat, I would request if you can just share some opening remarks on your view on markets and budget.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Amisha, and for having me here. I have always enjoyed interacting with people who are very, very keenly interested in the stock markets. That is the only thing I really miss about my Reliance days, because that platform used to give me this opportunity more often to interact with independent financial advisors and investors. Anyway, thank you for having me. I think markets have always intrigued me, and the more time I spend, the more I realize how little I know about markets. And that is the thing which at least keeps me going. So I have a young colleague who lives in Balloon. His name is Sunny Grocer. I was just telling him at his house that I know only 2% of the market. Now you have to decide how much do you know. So I have still, because they teach you lesson every day. You just have to be open-minded. So to begin with, what I would like to say, it's like when you come out of exam के time पे हमको जो ध्यान में रहता है वो भी हम कई बार लिख नहीं सकते हैं, और एग्जाम के बाहर आने के बाद ऐसा लगे बार वो तो कितना सिंपल था यार. I wish I would have done it that way. पर जब आप वो हॉल में रहते हो उस समय आपका कितना दिमाग चलता है ना, वही इम्पोर्टेंट है. वैसे ही बाजार में भी क्या है, पीछे हैंड साइड में तो देख के लगता है ये तो इतना आसान था, बट जब आदमी करने जाता है ना वो कर नहीं पाता है. तो आई विल स्टार्ट बाय शेयरिंग. सी एवरीवन नोज आई वाज one of the very early person to have identified Divi's Lab, right, when the company came for IPO. At that time, the market capitalization of Divi's Lab was only 140 crores. And I have spoken about this many a times in the past. But today I must tell, had I invested only 5 crores, I had that money at that time also, and just left it, did nothing. And whatever dividend which came from that company, just continue to invest it at that point of time in the same company. My money would have grown over 1800 times. So that 5 crore actually would have become 9,000 crores. Now in hindsight, it looks so simple. So all I can tell you, in last 20 years of my working, I only destroyed wealth. Right? And this is the power of really being able to identify good ideas. This is the power of wealth creation, and this is the power of long-term investing. जैसे बोलते हैं ना, स्वर्ग में जाने का एक रास्ता नहीं है. You can reach there through 25 different ways and through 25 different religions. So it was delight to see Siddharth here. We have seen him as such young kid, and he was making a case कि हम quant के through भी पैसा बना सकते हैं, asset diversification के through भी पैसा कमा सकते हैं, and it is one of the ways. He knows it, he should do it. I think I should do the way which I know. Likewise, all of you have to figure out, what is the direction in which you want to go. But I don't think we can undermine the importance of real long-term investing and being able to identify good companies at the right time and be able to hold on to them for a very long period of time. That is how I think the real wealth gets created. So when I came in the stock market, the India's GDP was $300 billion, roughly. That was in 91, 92. Today, after roughly 30 years, it is $3.5 trillion. So the GDP itself has grown around 11 times, 11 and a half times in last 30 odd years or so. That was the biggest call, and that was the biggest conviction which was needed at that point of time. Rest all, I think it was very simple, trust me. If I had that conviction that the GDP itself will grow 11 times and India will prosper in a manner in which it did, then whether what I bought, I had to be then reasonably smart person to buy the right thing, but whatever I would have bought, I would have made a lot of money. I think people like us, I would say, and I'm a disciple of Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, really miss him a lot, but he is the one who actually taught me somewhere in year 2000 that the growth trajectory in which India is. So every time whenever the market fell, we looked at it with the only glance of opportunity, because we had the conviction in the long term that markets will do really well for India. When I stand in front of you today, I am 54 and I am really focused on my health, as you can see. Hopefully, I will survive another 30 years. And that is the agenda number one. And I am convinced that Indian economy will be 10 times bigger in the next 30 years as compared with where it is today. So in our lifetime, at least in my lifetime, and I think majority of people who are sitting here, I can see that they will last this long. Siddharth will last much longer. But I am sure we will see a time when this GDP will be $30 trillion. If you can take this one big call in your mind, then every crisis will look like an opportunity to you. Yeah, I'm only talking from an investor perspective. Please don't get me wrong. People who are doing derivative, they have to take call every day. People who are doing technical analysis or trading, they have to take call based on the prices, etc., etc. But I am talking of fundamental and I am talking of long-term value creation. So if I have this conviction that Indian GDP will be $30 trillion in the next 30 years, and it is not going to happen suddenly, it will rise every year. In between, in some years, it will rise faster, in some years, it will rise slower. But if we have this conviction, then we will be able to really capitalize on this brilliant opportunity which comes really once in lifetime. And I think Prabhudas Viladhar came with a very apt slogan, "Ye Waqt Hamara hai." And I'm sure Amisha and I, over the next course of half an hour, 45 minutes, will talk more. I would love to share some of my learnings which I have had as an investor and what I see. And just to conclude, I think we had absolutely one of the best budgets which I have seen in my career. A finance minister not only delivered, but she actually delivered more than what we could have asked for. Whether it is a path of fiscal consolidation, whether it is a path of sticking to fiscal deficit or delivering growth, capital expenditure, not tweaking capital gains tax, which all of us were very afraid of. And in this challenging times in the world where people are not sure that they can even have 0% growth, and this is why there is talk of recession worldwide, we are still talking that Indian GDP can grow in real terms by 6.5% and in nominal terms by 11%. So I think she has done a great job. Now it is up to us what we can do of this great job. Thank you so much. Look forward to.
Thank you so much, Madhu, for your opening remarks. And you absolutely resounded what we started our today's session with, where we say, as what you just read also, Waqt Hamara hai, and from 5th largest to 3rd largest economy in no time, and to be the developed nation by 47 is what you said during our lifetime, and I also wish to see that is the journey that we are going to do. ये जो जर्नी है मतलब, जबकि इंडिया वर्ल्ड की ऑलमोस्ट फास्टेस्ट ग्रोइंग इकोनॉमी कंसिस्टेंटली रहेगी और हम सभी इसमें हमारी वेल्थ क्रिएट करना चाहेंगे, तो आपके हिसाब से ऐसे कौन से सेक्टर्स हैं जो जनरली ये जर्नी में बहुत अच्छे से पार्टिसिपेट करेंगे, जहां से हमें विनर स्टॉक या विनर मैनेजमेंट का कॉम्बिनेशन लेना ज़्यादा अच्छा रहेगा?
Sure. So, Amisha, there is two ways to approach this. A is to go back and people like you who do lot of research, this is what you should share with your clients. That when China was at 3.5 trillion and it went from 3.5 to let's say 5 trillion or 6 trillion, which are the industries which did actually really well? When US was at 3 trillion and they went to 6 trillion, which are the industries and sectors which actually did very, very well? So that is one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it, what we are seeing around, as I would again like to quote Rakesh Bhaiya, this is like a buffet, right, laid out there. Everyone has to eat as per his own choices. Only thing we have to do is not overeat, so there is no indigestion, right? Which is what I say, when you are trading, you should be very careful. When you are taking leverage, you should be very, very careful as to what you are putting on. And the immediate term, which is let's say from a 2-3 year horizon, because ultimately we can take a 30-year view, but we have to come to the market every day
Step by step.
and you have to go step by step. I am extremely positive on financial sector immediately, because I think and I've been very vocal. मैं टीवी में जाके 10 बार ही बोल चुका हूँ about banks and public sector banks. I've gone to the extent of saying कि ये लोगों ने अपना तो छोड़ो पड़ोसी लोगों का भी provide कर दिया है. So I feel that this is one sector which is really ripe. The valuations are good. The consolidation has happened. Indian banking sector का जो NPL का issue था वो निकल गया है. The bank consolidation has happened. We are starting to see very early signs of capex being done, and I think next 2-3 years we should see decent credit growth, and because consolidation happened 5 years back, there were 32 banks, public sector banks, and now there are only 12. Let's say 5 years back there were 8 relevant private sector banks. Now there are only 4 relevant private sector banks who can actually write big checks. So, in a place where you actually need a lot of credit for the support to GDP to be able to grow at 11%, I am sure this is where the real winners are. You can have your own pick, which will be either large cap. Private banks are also very attractively priced, I would say. But let me just qualify. I don't make a comment or I don't invest for 1 or 2 quarters. When I talk I am minimum talking of 2 to 3 year time frame, and I think in this time frame this sector should do well. The other sector which I am known to be very contrarian. I invest when no one is really interested in a sector. So we have invested as a contrarian. We have invested a lot in the last 1.5 years in infrastructure related companies. I think again tremendous amount of cleanup has happened in the infrastructure companies. When you look at any company, let's say, and let me just say one thing. Please take my advice as only advice. You consult your own financial advisor, you consult peer, you do your own research before you act on my ideas. This is not an invitation to buy or sell any shares. So this we should be very clear so that I can talk very freely. Otherwise, we'll go गोल हम बात करेंगे, end में पता नहीं चलेगा क्या बात की है, right? So, and I am a straight talker. So I would like to say that let's say take company like Nagarjuna Construction. Like you go 15 years back in 2008-9, their market cap was significantly higher than what it is today, right? And at that time maybe their order book position of 1/3 of what it is today, and the company have had a 15-year consolidation. Now their order book is maybe 3 times of where their order book was in 2008, and market cap is still lower, and they have actually committed all the mistakes under the sun, and they have corrected majority of those mistakes.
और इसमें मैं एक बात और भी ऐड करूंगी, जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कंपनी और नागार्जुना के बारे में मधु बता रहे हैं कि वो जो इंडिया का फेस था, इंडिया खुद भी डेवलप हो रहा था, तो जिस हिसाब से कोई प्रोजेक्ट के साथ लैंड देना चाहिए या तो कोई प्रोजेक्ट के साथ दूसरी सहूलियत देनी चाहिए, वही गवर्नमेंट नहीं देती। इसीलिए वो कंपनियां भी बहुत तकलीफ में आ गई। आज देखोगे तो जो भी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स मिलते हैं उसमें अगर काम करने की जगह नहीं है तो वो देते नहीं है, अगर उसमें फाइनेंशियल क्लोजर हुआ नहीं तो वो चालू नहीं करते हैं। इसका मतलब है कि वो सबका रिस्क
एंड प्लस क्या है अमीशा, वर्ल्ड हैज चेंज। अभी बैंक गारंटी नहीं मिलता है। One of my cousins who is in infrastructure sector lives in Raipur. He was saying me, against your portfolio you get me a bank guarantee and I will pay you 5% per annum. आपको बैंक में भी रखने का जरूरत नहीं है, कुछ नहीं करने का जरूरत है। I will pay you 5% per annum just to get me bank guarantee. So this is how the world has changed. So I just gave this specific name to elaborate my point and my investing style more than suggesting that you should buy Nagarjuna Construction. I am saying that 15 years have passed by, there has been no return. We can see qualitatively and quantitatively the sector has changed. I was just reading through the survey, the economic survey which came. It was speaking about there are 89,000 infrastructure projects which are underway, which are under construction in India, worth 141 lakh crore rupees. So this is the level of work which is currently going on in India. So this is like a contrarian bet. Not many people believe it. I think these companies will deliver very good set of numbers, and hopefully it should start reflecting in the stock prices. Then third is the technology sector. Essentially I would say the companies which got listed and got really battered, new age technology sector. Some of them have become analyzable, I would say. They were for me they were not even analyzable when they got listed. They have become analyzable, and because technology worldwide has proven that it creates tremendous amount of wealth. If you get it right, if you got Apple right, if you got Facebook right, if you got Google right, then you really made a lot of money, because that's the way you can actually expand your business. So I'm sure there will be 1 or 2 winners at a good price, that they will be large winners.
Absolutely, क्योंकि उसमें एक तो मार्केट कैप ही बहुत ही बुचर्ड हो गया है, एंड उसके वजह से जो ये कंपनियां चलाते हैं उनको एक रियलाइजेशन हो गया है कि अपने पैर पे खड़ा रहना पड़ेगा, कमाओगे तो बचोगे। और कोई भी कमाना चालू करेगा तो आई एम श्योर उसका हम वैल्यू कर सकते हैं।
और हमेशा ये कहना इसमें अभी ये जो टाइप का पैसा ये कंपनीज को मिल गया और जो वैल्यूएशन इनको मिल गया, मुझे नहीं लगता है अगले आने वाले कई सालों में किसी को वो पैसा मिलेगा या वो वैल्यूएशन मिलेगा। तो जिसके पास बैलेंस शीट में कैश है, दैट हैज बिकम द बिगेस्ट एंट्री बैरियर for people who are going to come, right? And plus उनके ऊपर कमाने का प्रेशर है, तो अभी वो कैश को जल्दी खर्चा नहीं करेंगे, तो कैश तो रहेगा ही रहेगा और वो कमाना चालू कर देंगे, so that the world not be able to access that capital will become the biggest entry barrier.
Correct. और उनकी dominant market position तो है ही. Most of these players have very dominant market position in whatever space that they are working in.
And the last sector, Amisha, I would like to mention is my favorite. I have not been able to make money in last 1.5 years in this sector, which is the pharma sector. Right? Your technical analyst was also saying that it is in a down cycle, and I love and I thrive in this kind of situations. So I feel pharma as a long-term sector has not lost its charm. The generic medicines are here to stay. The domestic market is still growing 12 to 15% in India. So that market will continue to do well because of lower penetration, rising population, and rising complications in life. The new drug discovery will continue to gain momentum. And most importantly, the contract and research manufacturing in India is only on an upsurge. I don't think there is any decline. So all the pillars in which this sector is based, there might be a pause out there, but there is no full stop. And I would say a lot of these companies, because the prices have corrected 50-75%, but only few of them would have made losses.
Yeah,
but they have not made losses.
Most of the balance sheets are in cash.
Most of the balance sheets are in cash. So somewhere you will get a few good winners. So let me just tell you, just to we ran about. That life is in the stock market is not about your ability to identify a sector. Life in the stock market finally boils down is your ability to identify the real winner within that sector. That is where you make a real differentiated return. Right? So just merely by saying the infrastructure sector will do well, or pharma sector will do well, or banks will do well, we have seen in the past there is such huge divergence in the performance between A and B itself that it is not sufficient to identify a sector. So finally it is your ability to buy the right company in the sector. The sector doing well provides tailwind, but the real killer of the return comes if you are able to invest in the right company.
तो क्यों ना आज हम मधु को वही पूछे कि तुम स्टॉक में क्या देखते हो टू आइडेंटिफाई द विनर.
श्योर.
और विनर और लूजर को कैसे डिफरेंशिएट करते हो?
So Amisha, I would not give again a standard answer that we look at external opportunity, we look at competitive strength, etc. That we have spoken quite a few times. See, the other things which we actually look at, is there a hate enough in a particular stock or a particular sector? Because either the news can be good or the price can be good. They don't go together, right? अगर कोई जगह पे न्यूज़ बहुत अच्छा है ना, तो आप मान सकते हो कि प्राइस अच्छा नहीं होगा, और जब प्राइस बहुत अच्छा है तो कन्वर्सली हमको मानना पड़ेगा कि न्यूज़ फ्लो तो खराब ही होगा. तो आई लुक फॉर बैड न्यूज़ फ्लो. मतलब मेरे को वो देख के मेरे को खुद को डर लगता है क्या कि ये कंपनी में मुझे नहीं इन्वेस्ट करना चाहिए, राइट? सो दैट इज द पॉइंट नंबर 1.
इसका ये मतलब है जब वो कहते हैं कि वो प्राइस नहीं अच्छा होगा, मतलब प्राइस इतना ऊपर होगा कि वहां से ज्यादा पैसे बनाने के चांस नहीं होंगे. और जब वो कहते हैं कि बैड न्यूज पे प्राइस अच्छा होगा, मतलब कि प्राइस इतना गिर गया होगा कि वहां से प्राइस पैसा गंवाने का चांस बहुत कम होगा.
एग्जैक्टली. एंड जब हम इस टाइप की कोई भी कंपनी आइडेंटिफाई करते हैं, एट दैट टाइम यू कैन बी श्योर कि आपको 1000 एडवाइजर मिलेंगे जो आपके घर पे आके एडवाइस करेंगे, तू पागल है क्या, उधर देखना भी मत, उधर तो प्रॉब्लम ABCDEFG है, वो आप अगर लेओगे भी ना तो आदमी रात को आपको नींद से हिला के बोल देगा प्लीज भेज दे इसको. So these are very good signs. If this is happening with you, maybe these are very good signs that you are on a right track. Right? The other point I would say is that, you know, over the years I have learned, don't compromise on governance. I have paid my tuition fee. I have lost a lot of money in actually, you know, overseeing this factor. Because when I was young, I would say young, hungry entrepreneurs are really good bets to take. Yes, they are essential, but they should also have the governance. They should also have risk-taking in their mind. They should also have the ability to build a good team. So don't compromise on the quality of management. Also if you are investing, so in my investing, I invest two types. One is for real long term. So I have held stocks now for more than 10 years also, or 15 years also. So they are multi-baggers, and then there are transitory multi-baggers, which I have a time frame of maybe 3-4 years. So, you know, again, if I invest in a commodity company, I don't think that I am looking for a 10-year time frame to make money. Similarly, if I am investing in a technology company, I am not looking at a 3-year time frame to make money. So then this distinction that for what period you are wanting to invest will determine the sectors also in which you want to take bet. Finally, Amisha, you know, हम कितना भी बात कर ले, शेयर बाजार में नीडल एक जगह पे आके रुक जाता है कि राइट टाइम में आपको हिम्मत है कि नहीं है. You know, because वो राइट टाइम में अगर हिम्मत नहीं है ना, सॉरी,
क्वेश्चन आंसर चालू करेंगे.
या तो मेरे को लगता है वो राइट टाइम पे हिम्मत होना, और जब आप में हिम्मत है तो आप कितना क्वांटम वहाँ पे डिप्लॉय कर सकते हो वो इंडिविजुअल कंपनीज में. That is what determines your true success. Let me just give you an example like Warren Buffett. He identified Apple and he put $30 billion at the age of 88 years, which was like 1/3 of his overall wealth. For a lot of people, it is a crazy decision. Had Madhusudan Kela done it, people would have called me also crazy. Have you gone mad? But because it is Warren Buffett who did it, people thought he's done a wise thing, and that is the result. Like, you know, you put such large amount of money to work when there is the real panic, and that is when you make real differentiated return.
Too, after Steve was no more.
Sorry? Yeah, that's Steve was no more, and that also after he said for 20 years in a row that I don't understand or I don't know technology sector.
Exactly.
And then he took one of the largest bet of his life in technology sector. True. And made largest amount of money from technology sector and from that stock. Or rather, he is still invested, he is still making.
Remain invested, absolutely.
What about Adani?
So sir, again, my views are my personal views, and I deserve the right to be wrong in my personal views. I have known Gautam Bhai for a very long period of time, and faith in Gautam Bhai. But that is an individual call which you need to take on your own.
So अडानी का उड़कर आ गया हो तो मैं कुछ और काम की बात करूं.
See again, you know, मैं आपको क्या बोलता हूँ, ये बहुत थ्योरेटिकल डिस्कशन करके क्या फायदा है. अभी कितने लोग LIC का शेयर लेने वाले मेरे को हाथ उठा के बोलो.
तो आज अगर मधु हमारे साथ है तो आपको उनकी कुछ शायद पर्सनल बात जानने में भी बहुत मन होगा। आपको ये भी जानना चाहिए कि जैसे मधु ने बताया भी कि उस पे भैया का हमेशा एक हाथ रहा है, एंड हम सभी आज भी वो एक्सेप्ट नहीं कर पा रहे कि वो हाथ हमारे पर नहीं है। तो मधु, ये डिस्टेंस, ये वैक्यूम आप कैसे ओवरकम करते हो? क्योंकि भैया का ऐसे था, सुबह हुआ नहीं कि एक फ़ोन गया, दोपहर हुआ नहीं एक फ़ोन गया, और हमेशा मधु उसके फर्स्ट कॉल पे तो रहा ही था। तो ये वैक्यूम आप कैसे फील करते हो?
I would say I really miss him a lot. More than markets, the kind of personal relationship which I had with him. He was, in a real sense, more than a real elder brother to me. But, you know, death is a reality and we have to accept it. You know, all of us are also going to go the same way. As he went, it's only a matter of time. Like, so it took me time, but I have accepted it. So I have my, physical vacuum which is there. But over the years, the wisdom which I learned from him, the markets which I learned from him, has not gone away. Rather, I think he continues to bless me wherever he is. And, after the budget, I was thinking that what I would have asked, Bhaiya, kya lagta hai? I exactly knew what his answer would be. Right? So, over the years, I would say, I have learned enough. अपने आप ही जवाब आ जाता है. Exactly.
तो आप सबको जान के ये भी खुशी होगी कि मधु इज फादर टू 2 daughters. जब मैं बड़ी हो रही थी ना, तो हमारे ब्रॉटअप में रिलीजियसनेस तो था ही, पर डिसिप्लिन बहुत था. तो पापा यही कहा करते थे कि यू आर सो लकी, तुमको तो बुक्स मिली है, तुम स्कूल में जा रही हो, उससे ज़्यादा क्या चाहिए. तभी उसका मतलब नहीं पता था, पर आज पता है कि वो जो एडवाइस कंटिन्यूसली मेरे दिमाग में थी, तो मुझे चीज़ों की वैल्यू बहुत ही पहले से लाइफ में पता चल गई, टाइम की और अवेलेबल अपॉर्चुनिटी की. मधु, आप एज ए फादर अपनी डॉटर्स को क्या नसीहत देते रहते हो? क्या उन्हें लाइफ में ध्यान रखना चाहिए?
I think it's a very good question. So, first of all, my single objective for my both children and rather children in my entire family is that they should be able to live their own passion. Like, I am lucky कि मेरे को रात को 2 बजे भी अगर आप उठा के नींद से हिला के बोलोगे तुझे क्या करना है, तो मैं बोलूँगा मुझे स्टॉक मार्केट ही करना है. मुझे कोई अच्छा आइडिया बता दो, मेरी नींद खुल जाएगी, पक्का खुल जाएगी. राइट? मैं रात को सोता हूँ, मेरा लास्ट कॉल स्टॉक मार्केट से रिलेटेड रहता है. मैं पहले सुबह उठता हूँ, मेरा दिन स्टॉक मार्केट से चालू होता है. राइट? सो आई एम ट्रूली एबल टू लिव माई पैशन and that's why I enjoy life. Right? I would like my children also should be able to live the same passion. That's how they will be able to enjoy life. You know, success will come to you inevitably if you are able to live your passion. The other thing which I keep on telling them that there is no shortcut to hard work, and nothing in life comes free, and nothing in life should come free. Had this money came to me through a lottery ticket, I don't think I'll be either proud or I'll be able to enjoy this money, right? Because it came after years of hard work and years of sustained work, I'm able to be proud and able to enjoy this money. Third, they are too young, but I'm still instilling this thing in them that have a character of your own. You know, have conviction of your own and have a character of your own. You should be absolutely with a very high character. You should be honest in life. You should be devoted to what you are doing. And lastly, I tell them that, you know, there are 5 or 6 functions in life. Like there is your personal life, there is your professional life, there is your health, there is the spirituality. For each of this, you should have guru in your life. So that, you know, you can actually, whenever, because one guru can't be sufficient for all aspects of life. So for each of this, over a period of time, you should find people who you respect. And if you have a crisis in that particular aspect, you should be able to go and speak to that person.
That's a very nice one. The last one was the best, I think. Having a guru is such a nice advice. We call it mentor, but guru is our word and we really respect it. आज आपकी पर्सनल लाइफ के बारे में जान के बहुत अच्छा लगा। बट जैसे आपको भी पता है 80 साल तक उठोगे सोओगे पैसा तो बनाओगे। बेटी 2 है, उसको अगर बहुत अच्छा पढ़ा दिया तो वो तो अपने आप अपना काम करने ही वाली है। आप क्या करना चाहते हो आपकी वेल्थ का?
So Amisha, you know, obviously money has only 2 ways. Either you can use it or you can misuse it. I am very fortunate to have born in a family wherein the misuse of money doesn't even come in our mind, right? But I don't have any habits in my life wherein I can misuse money. Right? So I'm sure I will use it, and I'll use it wherever my convictions are. And I don't talk about it. I don't want to talk about it in public. I can only tell you one thing. I am already doing best what money can do for a lot of causes, and that is one thing again I learned from Bhaiya, that, you know, the power in our only power of money is to spread happiness. And if you can truly spread happiness, and if you can truly invest this money or part this money wherever it is needed the most, it will have the best use. And I'm sure I will do it apart from what my children need. I'll do it in my lifetime. I am very sure that I don't want a memorable in my name after I'm dead. While I'm alive, I want to use this money in the best possible manner.
Fantastic. Before we end, you know, कई लोगों का ऐसा होता है कि उनका नाम कम होता है लेकिन पैसा बहुत बड़ा होता है। कई लोगों का नाम बहुत बड़ा होता है, शायद उनकी एम्बिशन से उनका पैसा कम हो सकता है। तो आज मैं मधु को वो भी पूछूंगी कि when will you think that you achieved your target, you are happy about what you did with your skill and investment of time and opportunity? What is that will give you true own stamp of success?
You are asking very tricky questions today. Never being asked this. But anyway, because these best answers come when you are not prepared for it. So I would say that as a person I am never happy with myself. And maybe that is the reason of my success. You know, I truly want to challenge myself every day. And which is why all my colleagues, some of them are very unhappy that you're never happy. And I said that is where the real happiness lies, that you're never happy. That is where the real happiness is. That is what keeps you pushing and keeps you going higher and higher. So I don't think there is a definite point which I'm looking at in my life that if I achieve this, I'll be happy. I will only be happy, Amisha, if I can keep on improving the processes, keep on learning from these beautiful markets which actually gives you a lesson every day, however old you grow. Right? You know, like the biggest lesson, let's talk about the Adani lesson. You know, the power of humility. You can see what can happen to the 3rd richest man in the world in matter of 2 weeks. किस बात का हम गुमान करेंगे? किस बात से हम proud होंगे? what success which we have achieved is nothing as compared with what Gautam has achieved. Even if that success can go, at least part of it can, world may think that it has gone away, part of it has gone away in 1 or 2 weeks, then I think there are markets which teach you more than making money lessons.
True.
Markets teach you a lot about life. And I think, as long as I am able to be a better human being, as long as I am able to be a better investor, that is real success to me. And last, to conclude on this point, my ideal in life is MF Hussain. Very unlike. So when I die, when I am in a deathbed, my only wish is that I should tell God, let me identify one more idea before you take me. And I should be able to share that one more idea with the world and then go.
Superb. Really loved it. And now I open it for audience to ask their questions. What is the format we are following for the questions from audience? I hope you enjoyed the fireside chat, as they say, with Madhu, where after a long time we tried to bring the real Madhu in front of everyone and what makes him the Madhu Kela and how he looks at life, he connects with markets, and what is his passion.
Amisha, before the audience will ask questions, I'll just share 1 or 2 of my learnings from my journey as an investor. Like, as I said, looking back, everything looks good. So, and we spoke about what you need to do for the next 30 years. So my endeavor from now on, I am very confident I'll be able to get 1 more Divi's Lab in my life. And this time, I would not commit a mistake of either not buying it or not holding it for a long period of time. All you have to ask, do you have the capability to have 1 Divi's Lab in your life? If you have that, either through PL or yourself or through Madhu Kela or through XYZ, it doesn't matter who gives you that advice. Finally, you have to be able to buy and be able to hold it for a very long period of time. Second, I was looking at, the success of Warren Buffett. And what came striking to me, which is not there in any book, is 2 things. One, how long you are in this market actually determines how successful you are going to be. Because Warren Buffett has been around for 70 years, his success looks dramatically larger than what it should look. Because for 70 years, whatever rate you compound your money at, it will still become a very large sum. So for a lot of young kids who are here, a lot of young people who are here, I would say that you derive a strategy by which you can be here for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And the success will look very, very large. And the other thing about Warren Buffett, that he did not commit a disaster in his life. He actually did not commit a large mistake. Whether it got to do with his reputation or with investing. So we don't have to be really extraordinary to win this game. We have to make sure that we are not horrible at any part of our life. If we don't commit a large mistake, again your success will look very, very large in due course of time.
Fantastic. Both the points are so relevant and so apt. And yeah.
I think here's the next program.
Yes,
He's telling me to go.
Thank you so much, sir and ma'am. It was a really impactful session. Now, since there is a little shortage of time, I request the audience, we'll pass on mics to you, but we can take only 3 questions. So please, whoever wants to ask a question, please, our team will come to you. If you can raise your hand, and we'll, we can ask questions to Madhu sir and Amisha ma'am. Anybody wants to ask? Yeah, so there are...
I request, please don't ask any stock-specific question. because I have my own constraint.
There's someone
Yes,
who
sir.
wants to ask a question at the back, so if they can just...
अदानी ग्रुप का शेयर का भाव बहुत नीचे आया है तो अभी लेना चाहिए कि नहीं लेना चाहिए?
सर मैंने पूरा अंकल आपके एज के हिसाब से बहुत रिस्पेक्टफुली इस बात का जवाब दूंगा मैंने आपको बताया कि मेरे को बिलीव है कि गौतम भाई अच्छे एंटरप्रेन्योर हैं और वो डेफिनेटली मेरे हिसाब से जैसे बाजार को दिक्कत लग रही है वैसी होनी नहीं चाहिए. कल टाइम अगर चेंज होएगा मैं अपना ओपिनियन मंडे मॉर्निंग को भी चेंज कर सकता हूँ अगर फैक्ट चेंज होंगे तो, राइट. एज थिंग्स स्टैंड मुझे ये लग रहा है. दूसरा मुझे लगता है कि देखो उस ग्रुप में भी ना 8 कंपनियां हैं. मैं 8 की 8 तो नहीं लूँगा पक्का. अब आप अपना चूज करो जो आपकी विजडम के हिसाब से लगता है जहाँ फंडामेंटल्स बहुत ज़्यादा अच्छे और वो पीएल आपको सब समझा देगा कि कहाँ पे फंडामेंटल अच्छे हैं. तो ये प्राइजेस में अगर आप वो अच्छी कंपनियां लेके रखोगे ना एंड डोंट लुक एट द प्राइस. सी प्रॉब्लम क्या है ना, आज आप लोगे और कल सुबह वापस भाव देखोगे तो लोगे और वो बिकेगा क्योंकि कल सुबह भाव देखोगे तो पक्का बिकेगा. तो आप लंबे समय के लिए लेके रखना चाहते हो तो ले सकते हो.
Vikram, on behalf of the audience, would also like to ask a question.
So just one thing for the next generation which is there, the youngsters which is there, so like how to start their journey in the stock market. If you just highlight 1 or 2 points like where they should focus on, or they should directly go and invest, or they should read, or what style they should start with.
Yeah, very great question, Vikram. I can truly resonate and relate to this. But I started my life in a very hard manner. So I think first thing in the about the success in the stock market for youngster is to have the passion. Because you can't treat this as a job. You can't treat it as a 9 baje aunga, 5 baje chala jaunga. That's not how I have been. For various people it will be different. I would suggest there has to be true passion for you for this job. Second thing, again, the technology has evolved in such a manner that you have to be hungry to learn. And that learning you can do via reading books, via listening to a lot of very good YouTube chats which come, via researching on what makes individuals very, very successful investors, via listening to iPods. And finally, it's like in swimming pool. That मैं बाहर में रह के आपको कितना भी रीज़न बता दूं कि ऐसे जाना, ऐसे तैरना, ऊपर मुंडी रखना, ये करना, वो रखना, पर जब तक आप जाओगे नहीं, 2-4 बार पानी अंदर जाएगा नहीं, तब तक के you can't learn swimming. So you have to be able to go and commit. You allow yourself to commit mistakes, and you learn from your own mistake. You keep writing down what made you invest. Why did you succeed or why did you fail? So then you will, over a period of time, you will evolve. Only thing is commit a mistake which you can afford.
Right.
You have to be in the game. And last advice I will tell you was nothing, even Taj Mahal was not built in 1 day or 1 year, right? Success in a life takes time. And if you are very impatient, and you want to have overnight success in the stock market, I think it's a guaranteed recipe for failure in the long run.
Thank you, sir.
मधु भाई यहाँ बैक साइड पे on the back side, on the middle side. Madhu bhai, I'm your big fan. In fact, I didn't know about you 6 months back, but I saw a very short clip after your last dinner or lunch with Bhaiyaji, and you had given that, it was like a party hall, and Bhaiyaji gave a lot of ideas of the market. So seeing that clip, I was your big fan.
Thank you so much.
Madhu bhai, one question is a dilemma. आप consistently advise कर रहे हैं कि we should be long-term invested, okay, in the market. But there are also contrarian opinion. Few experts say that because of this technology evolution and a lot of changes happening in the communication technology, the shelf life for companies can get reduced. So is that also could be having an impact on the long-term investment strategy versus short-term investment?
Yeah. I think honestly, to speaking the heart, obviously it is having, and there is the volatility in the stock prices is far higher and very larger as compared with what we used to see even 10-20 years back, right? Having said this, I don't think the nature of investing fundamentally will change. Like let us say Apple is a very good example of a large technology company in the world. What would you say that has money, wealth creation not happened for shareholders in the long run? In whether it is Apple or Google or Microsoft, these are at the forefront of technology evolution, right? So I don't think that will change. Having said this, as I said, स्वर्ग में जाने का एक रास्ता नहीं है. You have to choose your way. If you think you are very good in derivatives, that is also a way to make money in the market. If you think you are a very good trader, that is also a way to make money in the market. If you think that you can buy stocks maybe at the bottom and sell it at the top, that's also a very good way of making money in the market. I say this is what I know, and I want to stick to what I know, which is long-term investing.
Thank you, audience. I think this session deserves a loud round of applause.
Thank you so much.